news, y'all. We have got a mushroom hookup for y'all. I have been microdosing on and off for a few years now and can definitely say that when I'm on top of my dosing, my baseline is calmer, freer, and more open-minded. That's because a major benefit of microdosing is its ability to enhance neuroplasticity, your brain's natural ability to adapt, rewire, and recover from dysfunction. Mycelium combines the healing benefits of ancient medicine with science-backed nootropics and adaptogens. Each blend is packed with unique benefits. Mycelium offers a wide variety of products, making it easy to integrate microdosing into your day-to-day life. Hobbes loves their coconut creamer, and I'm really into the capsules for love because, of course, I'm a little lover boy. Click the link in our show notes and use the code Cazimi for 20% off your purchase. Again, use the link in our show notes, and the code is Cazimi, Cazimi, for 20% off your purchase.
Yo, you feel that? Dog, that's queer retrograde, baby.
Hello, y'all, and welcome back to Queer Retrograde. I have officially gone rogue, and I am recording this episode from the hammock. Shout out to us on YouTube at Queer Retrograde if you want to see this hammock activity up close. I am finishing up week 8 of The Artist's Way, which is recovering a sense of strength. It is April 20th today, and happy holidays to all who celebrate. So let's get into it because this week was a lot, to be honest. Like, not in terms of, honestly, I didn't even get through a lot of the tasks or exercises because there was just so much content in the reading. This week really dove into the realities of living in a material world and trying to be an artist that can like support yourself. And then also though, like some of the voices that we create to continue to stay creatively blocked, like the voice that says, oh, well, whenever I have the artist studio or whenever I have this amount of time, and this is something that I've talked to with one of my friends in particular. We were talking about it recently where she was like, I just need a day where I can just like focus on my drawing. And I'm like, girl, you need an hour. You need 1 hour. You need 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, how do we break these projects down in a way where we're just working on them whenever we can work on them, and then like hopefully we build trust with ourselves in that way, that like if I feel like I need to do something creatively, I will do it. So the first section is just talking about survival and how, and not survival in terms of what I was just speaking about, a material survival, but like survival in the sense of like as a creative, like there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of rejection, whether it's criticism from, the businessman that doesn't see the value in being an artist, or rejection in the sense of the arts are not a widely funded or, just societally supported endeavor. So it can feel like there is scarcity in terms of those resources if your art is something that you want to be spending your whole like full time doing. Um, and then what else? Oh yeah, but really, um, what the survival section is talking about is how like the rejection of whatever art you're making. So like if you're trying to publish a book and then it gets rejected by like 10 publishers, or like I remember whenever I was applying to art residencies and I got rejected to like so many art residencies. Um and I actually remember someone I went to art school with would print out all of their rejection letters and put them up on their wall. And I'm like, wow, that is such an artist way kind of like um exercise where it's like our rejection can be our like knowing that we're doing something right, but because we're just doing it, we're just going for it, we're applying, we're making the thing. And then yeah, like criticism as well, you know, whether it's like criticism that is consensually given or criticism that someone offers without asking. It's like um a lot of we kind of have to remember that most of the world is blocked artists. So if if someone is a blocked artist, they're likely to criticize someone who is engaging creatively in a way that is very abstract and unhelpful because that's what they're feeding themselves as well. You know, like how anything anyone says is simply a reflection of them and where they're at. It's like the same with create like art and the sort of inner critic. It's like we're getting a taste of their inner critic, but it can be hard to shake that shit off sometimes. So the section was talking about that and the sort of sacred trust between an artist and teachers, editors, mentors, or any kind of like often authority figure. Um, just how important it is to like basically give an artist what they need, which is often encouragement and support. And how rare that can be, which we'll get more into later. But basically, the next section is talking about academia and how oftentimes people who are like, this is something I think about a lot. People who can like really intellectually understand a concept or an idea or talk about something really, really eloquently. But it's like they don't actually practice these things in their body. So, like, the example in the book is how, like, many art teachers or people who teach at creative universities, they're often blocked artists themselves, and they low key kind of envy their students in a way because they get to experiment or they get to express in all the ways that really they they want to inside, right? But it's like hidden behind this ego, and so much of this is about ego, and about like releasing the sort of what is it? Like the obsession with perception, outside perception. Um, this is part of why I was like, I'm just gonna record on the hammock today because I'm like, who cares if I like am set up in a certain type of way? It's like the hammock is just as like the hammock is like true, okay? Because I was about to be laying here no matter what, whether I was recording or not. So, yeah, it's just like what feels right, what feels supportive in that moment. And yeah, I think that's oftentimes what students are asking for is just like, can I just be given permission? Be given permission to make this thing, experiment with this thing, just see. And that kind of is honestly the essence of this whole book is just like give yourself permission, listen to yourself, listen to that inner voice and go for it. And as an educator myself, like I've always felt like that has been my whole teaching philosophy, is just like empowerment and giving permission where permission might feel hard to be given, or even like trying to, companion students on their journey of learning to listen to themselves so that they can know what to ask for. Um, expanding expanding all of our minds to a place where we didn't even know we could ask for that, or we didn't even know we wanted to ask for that, but here we are asking for it. That is the power of art. Oh, wow. um Let me see if there's a little section. uh yeah, let's read this little section. So, creativity cannot be comfortably quantified in intellectual terms. By its very nature, creativity eschews such containment. In a university where the intellectual life is built upon the art of criticizing, on deconstructing a creative work, the art of creation itself, the art of creative construction meets with scanty support, understanding, or approval. To be blunt, most academics know how to take something apart, but not how to assemble it. I was like, dang, yeah, the obsession with critique in art school really like made me develop this kind of it it doubled down on my sort of perfectionism, which is like, duh, okay, perfectionism is so white supremacist in nature. And then these universities are literally built on like white supremacist systems. They are white supremacist systems within themselves. So it's like it makes sense that it would all feed into each other in that way. And I'm just not interested in participating in that anymore. Um, it is like, it's not good for my nervous system. It doesn't feel good in my body. It doesn't feel um, expansive, or like I can be present. Um, it feels very controlling in a way that is like abstract and uh like just random or something. Like it just doesn't feel real. um so yeah, that's just kind of a little bit of a side rant. um but yeah, I mean, I'm grateful I went to art school because I made some incredible relationships. Some of my closest people today I met through that journey. That being said, I'm really glad that I had the forethought to not continue in my academic journey and career, because I think my time away from the institution and also away from working, which I know, again, this is a super privileged stance, but I have been able to work for myself for the last few years, and not work too. Like, not work, like work for myself in the sense of not have to like create my own schedule in its whole, right? Like sort of like the idealism of working for yourself. Like that's kind of what I experienced in a way. And I just felt free. I just felt like I learned so much about myself, and I was like creating my own versions of success every step of the way. And when I was in university, it just felt so easy to get wrapped up in other people's versions of success. And, um, of course, that's my own internal boundaries work and stuff like that too. But I learned that it through my relationships. So through my relationship work that I've done over the last few years, like that is where I've made like growth that feels like it seeps into every aspect of my life. It's like it influences everything. And that's like a foundation. Even my astrologer was like, yeah, you built a foundation for yourself for the next 30 years of your life in your relationships. Um, and part of that is like a lot of what has been discussed in the artist way so far of like building trust within myself, listening to myself, slowing down enough and treating myself enough to, treat my inner artist and myself with the kind of abundant love, care, compassion, and like doting on ultimately that uh that they need, like that is something that I have been like practicing for the last few years instead of continuing to reach out for a university's stamp of approval. Um, Learning how to give that to myself. And so, anyways, this whole section really resonated with me, um, because I think there are people who can go to college and still be like, I see all of these versions of success. I know what my own version of success is, and that doesn't bother me at all. I have a clear boundary. Also, you know, I don't care if I get this stamp of approval from these people. Like, I'm giving it to myself, and then that their stamp of approval will just be like an extra thing I get or whatever. Like some people, that's where they're at. And like, if I went back to school now versus like 5 or even 3 years ago, maybe I could do that now. But yeah, it's taken time and it's taken experience away from, um it's almost like how like the journey that I've been going through with my parents, where it's like, how can I really live my life, live my life, not y'all's life, my life. Um, and yeah, just learning how to find that sense of self ultimately. Wow, I'm rambling a lot. Okay. So, yeah, in this section of the book, she's talking a lot about like grief and how we need to grieve the losses, grieve the um the disappointment and anything else that comes up whenever we don't get the art residency, when we don't get the gallery show, whenever no one buys a painting or whatever it is, right? And also how at the same time every loss is a gain. Like every and I remember my friend Christine told me this, like every no points you in the direction of the yes. It's like there's always something to be gained from a loss or a no. Something that might seem like a failure is really just redirection. So the question that's posed here is, how can this loss serve me? Where does it point my work? And the trick is to metabolize the pain as energy. Um, yeah, it's all in the framing. And for me, I have this curiosity around finding the balance between mourning losses and then kind of focusing on the future. Because the next section is really talking about the future. Um, One of the quotes says, "Whenever I have taken no for a final answer, I have stalled and gotten stuck. I have learned that the key to career resiliency is self-empowerment and choice." Artists, and then this is a different section. When faced with a loss, immediately take one small action to support your artist. Even if all you are doing is buying a bunch of tulips and a sketch pad, your action says, "I acknowledge you and your pain. I promise you a future worth having." Like a small child, our artist needs mommying. Ouch, that hurt. Here's a little treat, a lullaby, a promise. So that's a sort of balance that I'm trying to find within myself, and I always have been, right? It's like even the balance between feeling my emotions and then knowing when to move on. That's like a discernment I feel like I've been building and I'm still building. And then after that, she goes into this section called Age and Time, Product and Process. So kind of this sunk cost fallacy of like, oh, well, I'm too old or I'm too young or maybe when I retire. This is like what we're taught is sort of like the American dream. It's like you work, 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 and then once you're retired, then you get to do what you want. And it's like, bro, what? That is like your whole life, you know? Like living I want to be living my life and living my purpose every step of the way. Um, and ultimately saying like I'm too old to do something like this, like that is an evasive tactic, and it's really just facing fear, or avoiding facing fear. That is like me trying to avoid something. She talks about how as blocked creatives we like to pretend that a year or even several years is a long, long time, and that's just our way of avoiding starting. Because it can be vulnerable to start something new, and like we have to let ourselves be bad at things when we start something new. For me, that's really hard because I'm a Capricorn moon and a Virgo rising, and I want to be like that perfectionism I was talking about earlier. It's like I want to be perfect. So that can be really hard, but I just have been trying to focus more on process over product and thinking about it as humanity over profit or over materiality has been a helpful way for me to be like, this is an act of resistance. If I'm able to resist perfectionism, like it's contributing to the larger system of like colonization that we're in. Um, yeah, what else? Lots about process and experimentation and learning how to be in the fear of the unknown. Um, there's this new phrase that I learned in this section called filling the form. Oh, I have little marks from my sunglasses. So, filling the form means taking the next small step instead of skipping ahead to a large one for which you may not yet be prepared. So, it's sort of like the project managerial moment um of like whatever project you want to do or whatever idea. So it's breaking it down into really, really small attainable steps. And if we set the jumps too high or make the price tag too great, making the price tag too great for ourselves ultimately, the recovering artist sets defeat in motion, because then we're like, okay, let me just read the example. Who can concentrate on a first drawing class when he is obsessing about having to divorce his wife and leave town? Who can turn toe out in modern jazz form when she is busy reading ads for the new apartment she will have to break up with her lover to concentrate on her art? So it's like we artists are dramatic. We feel like we have to change our entire life in one night just because we want to be creative, but it's like, how do we just take small steps? Like, how do we just go to the class or do the drawing for an hour or whatever it is? No one is asking us to make a huge leap off a canyon, which is what it can feel like sometimes. Um, this section says creativity requires activity, and this is not good news to most of us. It makes us responsible, and we tend to hate that. You mean I have to do something in order to feel better? Yes. And most of us hate to do something when we can obsess about something else instead. One of our favorite things to do instead of our art is to contemplate the odds. In a creative career, thinking about the odds is a drink of emotional poison. It robs us of the dignity of art as process and puts us at the mercy of imagined powers out there. Taking this drink quickly leads us to severe and toxic emotional bender. It leads us to ask, what's the use instead of what's next? So we're addicted to anxiety instead of action. And yeah, then yeah, it's more just about staying in practice and just, you know, just doing whatever, again, whatever feels right, whatever feels like genuinely like I have this urge or desire to try this or experiment with this, and so I'm gonna do it. Um, so the exercise in this section was an early patternings exercise, which took me a while. It's 20 questions, and it's all about the preconceptions or experiences that we have had or developed about art and their relationship to experiences we had as kids. Um, so, like, the first one says, as a kid, my dad thought my art was blank. That made me feel blank. Um, I grew up thinking artists were blank people. And yeah, and then after that, there were some affirmations to work with. So the ones that I chose are, I am a talented person. I am a good person and a good artist. I now treat myself and my creativity more gently. I now accept creative recovery and hope. I now allow myself to heal. And then for the tasks, there was a goal search where it sort of went through this process of like naming the dream, naming one concrete goal that shows you you're on the path. And then also indicating like what is the true north of this project, meaning what is like the sort of like where is it going to bring true fulfillment? So, like the example is saying that two people might want to be an actress, however, the concrete goals are different for these two actresses because for one person, glamour is the true north of the of becoming an actress. So they want an article in People magazine. But for the other one, respect as a creative artist is like the true north or the emotional center of the dream. So that person would want to be like a Broadway in a Broadway play as the concrete goal. So yeah, and then talking about what would it look like in 5 years, breaking it down into actions for this month, this week, right now, and then also showing or naming some role models and anything else in terms of like an action plan. So yeah, that kind of took most of my time. I didn't really get to any of these other tasks, but some of them were repeats and things that I can think about, like while I'm on my walks and things like that. Um, and then, so for example, one of them is color schemes. So picking a color and writing sentences describing yourself in the first person. Um, yeah, and then just, yeah, okay, so I am silver. I am high tech and ethereal. The color of dreams and accomplishment. The color of half light and in between. I feel serene. Or I am red. I am passion, sunset, anger, blood, wine and roses, armies, murder, lust and apples. So do this for your favorite color, and then where do you see this color around you? Um, and then yeah, just talking about it in your life and in your house. And then I think noticing and taking action from there. Um, list 5 things you're not allowed to do, and then list 20 things that you like to do. So these are both sort of repeats, but with a little bit of a different energy now, of course, because we're on week 8. Plan a perfect day in your life, and yeah, and then just choose one aspect of your ideal day to live. So, um, yeah, actually, I'll probably do that tomorrow. So, yeah, the morning pages have been going well still. I'm enjoying them. And oh, yeah, the artist date. So, this week for my artist date, I went to this like new music venue. It's like an amphitheater, and it is, if you're familiar with Richmond, it's near the Belle Isle parking lot. It's like this new amphitheater they just built on the riverfront. And what's really cool is they like block off the side street during concerts, and people just like bring their chairs and stuff and set up outside of the venue. So the venue is like, I think it was like a sold out concert. It was Alabama Shakes, which I love. I love so much Alabama Shakes music, and Brittany Howard is like an amazing uh, performer, obviously an incredible vocalist. And so yeah, it was like the best of both worlds because I was like, I think this is like a sold out show. The venue seemed super busy, which means everyone was getting paid, and also the people who maybe don't have the budget to like go see a show right now, like they can just bring their chair and sit outside of the gates. So I loved that. I was super grateful that that was available, and I had a great time. I went by myself and just, yeah, it was just a very romantic evening with myself. Um, Synchronicities, it's the same as it has been, to be honest, in terms of the numbers. I think I talked about the peacock last week. So, yeah, but I have been noticing a lot of synchronicity lately. Like, I feel like since I've been going through this book, it's only been like ramping up more and more and more. And yeah, heading into week 9, that we're like, I'm on the last third of this journey. Um, 4 more weeks, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 4 more weeks. So thank you so much if you have been tuning along this entire time, or if you're new to this journey with me, thank you for joining in. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week for week 9, recovering a sense of compassion. How cute. I love that. All right. Take good care, y'all.
Please, dear God, keep the gay agenda alive and tell your gay friends about this gay ass podcast. Bless, bless, bless.